Trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth. Zen does not confuse spirituality with thinking about God while one is peeling potatoes. Zen spirituality is just to peel the potatoes. Man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. One is a great deal less anxious if one feels perfectly free to be anxious, and the same may be said of guilt. We seldom realize, for example, that our most private thoughts and emotions are not actually our own. You and I are all as much continuous with the physical universe as a wave is continuous with the ocean. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. If we cling to belief in God, we cannot likewise have faith, since faith is not clinging but letting go. To have faith is to trust yourself to the water. When you swim, you don't grab hold of the water, because if you do, you will sink and drown. Instead, you relax and float. But I'll tell you what hermits realize. If you go off into a far, far forest and get very quiet, you'll come to understand that you're connected with everything. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. The world is filled with love play, from animal lust to sublime compassion. You are an aperture through which the universe is looking at and exploring itself. So then, the relationship of self to other is the complete realization that loving yourself is impossible without loving everything defined as other than yourself. I have realized that the past and future are real illusions, that they exist in the present, which is what there is and all there is. There is nothing at all that can be talked about adequately, and the whole art of poetry is to say what can't be said. The more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. What we have to discover is that there is no safety, that seeking is painful, and that when we imagine that we have found it, we don't like it. Try to imagine what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. Now try to imagine what it was like to wake up having never gone to sleep. Things are as they are. Looking out into the universe at night, we make no comparisons between right and wrong stars, nor between well and badly arranged constellations. You're under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. Problems that remain persistently insoluble should always be suspected as questions asked in the wrong way. I am what happens between the maternity ward and the crematorium. A scholar tries to learn something every day. A student of Buddhism tries to unlearn something daily. Just as true humor is laughter at oneself, true humanity is knowledge of oneself. Every intelligent individual wants to know what makes him tick, and yet is at once fascinated and frustrated by the fact that oneself is the most difficult of all things to know. No one is more dangerously insane than one who is sane all the time. He is like a steel bridge without flexibility, and the order of his life is rigid and brittle. Never pretend to a love which you do not actually feel, for love is not ours to command. Technology is destructive only in the hands of people who do not realize that they are one and the same process as the universe. When we attempt to exercise power or control over someone else, we cannot avoid giving that person the very same power or control over us. Hospitals should be arranged in such a way as to make being sick an interesting experience. One learns a great deal sometimes from being sick. But my dear man, reality is only a Rorschach ink blot, you know. If the universe is meaningless, says the statement that it is so. If this world is a vicious trap, says its accuser, and the pot is calling the kettle black. We do not come into this world. We come out of it, as leaves from a tree. I find that the sensation of myself as an ego inside a bag of skin is really a hallucination. Zen is a liberation from time. For if we open our eyes and see clearly, it becomes obvious that there is no other time than this instant, and that the past and the future are abstractions without any concrete reality. You do not play a sonata in order to reach the final chord, and if the meanings of things were simply in ends, composers would write nothing but finales. For if you know what you want, and will be content with it, you can be trusted. But if you do not know, your desires are limitless and no one can tell how to deal with you. Nothing satisfies an individual incapable of enjoyment. It's better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing, than a long life spent in a miserable way. Where there is to be creative action, it is quite beside the point to discuss what we should or should not do in order to be right or good. Just as money is not real, consumable wealth, books are not life. To idolize scriptures is like eating paper currency. Stay in the center, and you will be ready to move in any direction. It is hard indeed to notice anything for which the languages available to us have no description. Only doubtful truths need defense. A woman always gives preference to a man who shows less affection for her. We have made a problem for ourselves by confusing the intelligible with the fixed. Genuine love comes from knowledge, not from a sense of duty or guilt. The religious idea of God cannot do full duty for the metaphysical infinity. The mystery of life is not a problem to be solved but a reality to be experienced. We think that the world is limited and explained by its past. The discovery of this reality is hindered rather than helped by belief, whether one believes in God or believes in atheism. I have no other self than the totality of things of which I am aware. Quote,